Now, I need to be able to switch my camera around so I can talk and you can see the cows, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, this could be a trick.
How long have you been doing winter grazing?
My husband and I, when we started on the farm, and that would have been in 88, 89, in the early 90s, we started bale grazing. And that was our first foray into winter grazing, so 30 plus years. We farm at Manning, Alberta, which is a 6-hour drive north of Edmonton. We're a mixed farming operation. Right now, we just let our herd into the next section of swath grazing.
You're growing forage, you're planting forage, what, in the fall so that it would be mature. And then once it snows, it's under the snow and the animals will dig it up.
It is a huge savings to us because all we have to do is seed it and swath it. We don't have to bale it and haul it to the yard.
So what does swath mean? Maybe that's the word I'm not understanding.
Okay, so a swather cuts it and puts it into a row. And it puts it into a row that's probably 3 to 4 feet wide. And it basically cuts the crop and puts it into a windrow, depending on what the yield of the crop is. It'll be like a 3 to 4 foot swath. And that's what we lay down. We'll sow it in late May, early June, and cut it down in August and September. And we have oats and peas, Italian rye, hairy vetch, sunflowers, 2 different brassicas, buckwheat, and I'm just going to see if I can pull some up here. It's an 8-way mix. There's an old sunflower. Where am I? There. An old sunflower head there you can see, and the oats. And it's a very high nutritive quality in protein and energy. So the calves are doing very, very well on it. We move them daily. We find that we get better utilization that way.
Yep.
And chores are easier, and we get our exercise too.
And is it cheaper or more expensive to graze in the winter like you all are doing with the swath grazing?
Cheaper by far.
Yeah, compared to hay and that kind of thing. We've done the dollars and cents, and I mean, part of that is because we have a grain operation too, so we have access to an air drill and that kind of thing, so that helps. But it makes dollars and cents. Plus, we're able to take our swath grazing and rotate it over our grain acres. And we're not quantifying that benefit. We're not quantifying the manure benefit or anything like that. It's just how much money does it take to feed a cow in a day? And this makes sense.
What happens when you get 2 feet of snow on top of there? Will the animals dig through, or you?
You'll see them put their heads down, and when they bring their heads up, you can just see the pole because they're down so deep.
So they're grazing in the winter.
Yeah.
So many people say it's impossible to graze in the winter.
No, it is not. And I'm not saying it's not a bit of a learning curve for them, because it is. But the nice thing now is we've been doing this 5 years. So our replacement heifers know what to do because they've been out here with their moms.
They've learned.
They've learned. Absolutely. Yeah, they've learned.
When the snow's deeper, they'll snow plow.
Yeah.
They'll snow plow. So will your swath last until the spring growth?
We will swath graze until March. That's when these swaths will run out. Then we'll start bale grazing.
And how long will you, 2 months until everything starts growing for them?
Green grass, we really target kind of the end of May is when we'll see enough green grass to sustain. But it all depends on the year. Like we target the middle to end of February for swath grazing, but we never know what we're going to get for rain. So sometimes that's the middle of January, sometimes it's the start of March. And then we have actually the first year we did it, we miscalculated and the cow stayed out till April 15th. And we had our first baby calf out on swath grazing. So it all depends on the year. It's not to say that we couldn't swath graze all winter, but we are a bit risk adverse, so we want to have some bales in the yard in case we can't. So we never plant what we think will take them all the way to calving. we'll just plant for February. And like this year, I think we're a little bit past that.
And so one thing that you had mentioned, Jolene, was you all will rotate the fields that you grow the swath for the winter grazing on top of your grain fields. So you're sort of fertilizing all your fields for, as Gabe Brown would say, it sounds like you're fertilizing for a profit, not a cost.
It also allows us to extend our grain rotation because there's only so many crops we can grow up here, and that will mature for a grain crop. So this is another thing to add into the rotation. And like everybody says, when you're talking about the principles of soil health, getting livestock over the land is important. Yeah. And with grain acres, a lot of guys struggle with that. So as long as we have a dugout for water source for the cows, we can graze it.
So we got fiberglass posts. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then poly wire or string.
And do you use solar panels?
Yes, we do for our fencer and also for our watering system. So we have a pump. We cut a hole in the ice and put the pump in, and we have an insulated water trough, and we have solar panels. So it's a solar watering system, absolutely no electricity, and it works very, very well. Minus 38, it will work.
Like definitely when we're hitting the minus 40 Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit, pardon me, I'm not very good at the conversion, but I know that one. We're finding that we do get some freezing on the hose coming from the pump to the water trough, but we have it sloped. So it's a drain back system. So the hose empties. Where we end up with the frost is right at the ice level in the dugout. So we just have to pull that hose apart, quickly defrost, put it back together, and it's good to go. We always, when we hit those minus 45 stretches, we always cross our fingers and hope for the best, because if it really, really, really doesn't work, there's not a whole lot you can do.
How prevalent is winter grazing in your all's neck of the woods? Are you the outliers? Is it normal? Somewhere in between?
Outliers.
You are outliers?
Yeah. Not everybody wants to go and move a string fence when it's minus 35.
Right.
I would prefer spending like the hour it takes to drive out here, check water, check mineral, move the fence, and go back home than I would spending minimum. It would probably take 3 hours a day in the tractor to feed 2 or 3 different, 3 different pens. Like this herd would represent 3 different pens minimum. That it would take to feed with a tractor. I prefer this. And when we get to that in swath grazing in February, we're always like, now we have to go and feed bales and take off twines and every day. And it's for all 4 of us at the family, this is our preferred method of feeding. It takes less time, it's easier, we really like it. And yeah, you got to be out in the elements when it's cold, but we still prefer it. The trade-off, that's fine by us.